Hello and welcome to my shadow guide for the Mage Hand running. This method may seem a little bit overwhelming to some if you've seen it in action before. I'm here to tell you it's not actually that bad if you have a good understanding of how works. If you are completely new to Mage running, I highly recommend you learn the 4-tick method first with a Sang or a Trident, because this method will make you understand a lot better how and when turns his head. In this video I'll be covering the basics of the method, how to get into the cycle, how to fix common mistakes, and I will go into some advanced, maybe even niche strategies that you can use. To start off, you have to know that there's two sides to Orm, one being the good side and one being the bad side. It matters which side you're on, because on the good side you are able to maintain cycle without taking any damage at all, whereas on the bad side you are forced to tank a hit or miss ticks either way. I will go over the good side first. For the good side you have to worry about these 4 tiles. The tiles for this method will be in the description as well. Shout out to Joebiee, he made a video on this method already and this is where I got these tiles from. The only difference is that I removed one tile which set the order to do the hits in. I didn't find it very helpful because I never really looked at it. I will link Joebee's video in the description as well. If you want to make your tile with the order, simply mark a tile, label it, that way you can type text onto the tile. And you can type whatever the order would be, which would be 1, long range, 2, drag, you get dragged in from the long range tile, so just like you could get with the Trident, and then 3, and then you repeat. This is the good side of Orm. This method is also called 12-0, which means you get 12 hits on the Orm hand, and Orm will get 0 hits on you in return. This method works because you actually get dragged in diagonally, whereas to the other side, you don't get dragged in like that on most of the tiles. An important aspect of this shadow method is that you will always want to summon your fall whenever you can, because the shadow has a funky delay on it, and the fall will help you turn the head more consistently. That is not always gonna work out, sometimes it's gonna turn middle, and I will come into that later. The order of the tiles will remain the same, however, the tile you start on will depend on where you enter the cycle. Usually you enter the cycle on tile 1. It's very helpful if you're already familiar with the 5-tick cycle of, for example, a twisted bow or a scythe. This means you know exactly when to click to not miss any ticks in between attacks. It will also be essential to know when Orm turns his head, as you need to use this timing quite often. I will now go over the method one step at a time. So similarly to the Trident or Sang method, you want to click on the moment that Orm will turn his head towards you. However, this time you don't click on the Mage Hand, you will click on 1 instead, and straight after you will click the Mage Hand. Right after clicking the Mage Hand, you want to make sure you click south, so you're running away from the head. This does not have to be a precise click, as long as you can make it to the middle before Orm will attack you. You can correctly click later to save some run energy. Next you want to run back north, get one more attack in, put your staff on long range and run all the way to the final tile. There you will hit the hand and run straight to the middle. This click does not have to be precise once again, but it is probably a good habit to get into correcting your click while you're running there. In the middle you can do one more hit and head straight back north. While running north you can do one more attack, and then 2 ticks after you have to make sure that you are out of the head's range. This part requires some precise timing, and once the Orm head turns you want to make sure you click 1 and then 2, and then straight after you want to click the hand. This part is probably the most difficult part of the whole cycle, so I will repeat it once more. We come from the middle, we do one attack, make sure we count 2 ticks, and go out of arm's range. Then we go to 1, we go to 2 the next tick, and we click the hand. After we click the hand, we gotta make sure we click south straight away so we move out of arm's sight. Once the head turns south, you can go straight back north and do one more attack. The next hit will be on the exact timing of the arm head turning. This is very similar to the trident method, so this should be no problem at all. In the middle, you can hit the hand once, make your way back north and do one extra hit. There's one thing you need to keep in mind here, and that is that you need to be 1 or 2 tiles away from the far tile. You have to do this because the next tick, you need to be out of arm's range, making it turn to the north side. Once it turns north, you want to straight up run to number 1 and then make your way to number 3. You can do this by either clicking on 2 and then 3 or just clicking on number 3. That doesn't really matter. Clicking them one at a time might help you count ticks. When you're at number 3, you click the mage hand for another hit. Unlike all the other tiles, for number 3 you don't have to click south, as you're already getting dragged out of arm's sight. Straight after you attack, you can make your way back north straight away, do one more hit, and then get ready to repeat the cycle. Making sure you understand the explanation will help you a lot in actually implementing the method into your raids. It's just a matter of practice after that. I will now go over the bad side of Olm. On this side, if you want to keep up your DPS, you're forced to take a hit at some point. This method is also referred to as 8 to 1, meaning you get 8 hits on the hand and Olm will get 1 hit on you. You only have to worry about these 2 tiles. These are the tiles that will be dragging you in. Just like on the good side, the starting tile will depend on where you enter the cycle, however, usually it'll be number 1 as well. This is where the method is basically the same as the previous. You click 1 whenever Olm will turn to your side. Click the hand straight after. Make sure to click to the north side straight away, because you want to get out of Olm's sight. This part is still identical to the previous method. Make your way back south and do an extra hit. You'll have 2 ticks after turning the head to do a hit. Try not to miss any ticks because this will mess up your cycle. Make your way south, put your staff on long range and hit the hand. Once again, right after your attack, you want to click north to get out of Olm's sight. Once in the middle, do one attack and make your way back south. Right after your attack, you'll have 2 ticks to get out of Olm's sight. Straight away, make your way back north and keep your 5 tick cycle going by attacking once again. As you can see, this is where you'll have to tank a hit, so make sure your prayer is on. By tanking this hit, you've reset the cycle, you can go back south, do a hit, and repeat from the start. I will play the rest of the clip so you know how it'll look like without pausing all the time. If anything has been unclear so far, feel free to go back to the chapters to watch it again. Understanding what's going on will be the first step to learning this method. If you've gotten this far, that means you will now understand the basics of the method, but how do you set it up? This is an important aspect because you have to get into the cycle somehow. How do you do that? That's what I'll go into in this section of the video. It's important to know that the setup on the entrance of the Olm room is different to any of the other setups, so I'll cover that one first. Being on the good side or the bad side of Olm is irrelevant to setting it up. You can set it up from both sides the exact same way. It's very possible you've done something like this with a Sang or Trident already, as you do the exact same drag into a Warhammer spec. You want to make sure you tag something of Olm so you know exactly on which side it's coming up. So what you want to do is you want to enter the room, go towards the middle of the room, summon a Thrall, which is actually very important. See what side Olm is coming on by using the tag, then move towards the melee hand side. Whenever you are able to attack the hand, you click the hand, which will make you get dragged in, after which you instantly click to the middle. Switch towards your melee gear and you Warhammer spec the melee hand. After that, you can go back to the middle, go back into your mage gear and it'll be set up. This is why I said earlier that usually you start the cycle on tile 1. That wasn't very difficult now, was it? Well, I had a very rough time finding this clip because 90% of my alms I missed my Warhammer spec. So what do you do if your Warhammer misses? Well, I will demonstrate it in this clip. I won't go over too much here, but basically you go back to the melee hand line, you go back to the mage gear and you do another hit on the melee hand, you do the exact same thing again. And as you can see here, it is set up the exact same way as before, starting on tile 1. In this clip I will show you how to set it up if you splash on the mage hand and your thrall doesn't hit either. In this case I don't even summon a thrall, but so here I miss my mage hit on the mage hand. I also miss my melee hit, but that wouldn't matter for how it would turn. I book my way towards the mage hand side, and this way I will fully reset the cycle. I can do one more hit here and I will slide back on 1. When you are on the mage hand side, you want to make sure you move on the tick that Orm will turn his head. Because if you don't, then you will get hit by Orm and it will not be set up the way you will see in this clip. Make sure you learn how to do this because this is extremely helpful, as this will also be a way to reset it whenever you want. So let's say you messed up big time somewhere and you just don't know how to get back into the cycle. Well, this is a way to do it without taking any damage. Next up will be how to set it up after you go into the next phase. The reason why the setup for this is different is because Orm will not instantly do an attack or turn his head. There is a very simple and effective way to get your Warhammers back in and also get into the cycle. However, this does include tanking a hit from Orm. Simply wear your melee gear and your Warhammer, spec the hand once, equip your lance, do a hit and again, go to the middle, switch your mage gear and hit the mage hand. And then you are into the cycle. It's that easy. Note that you once again start on tile 1. If you're not comfortable with that many switches, simply do like a 4-way switch into your best mage gear. Your shadow should be accurate enough most of the times. Your thrall can also help you out here. I will cover setups a little bit more in the advanced section. I will now cover some common mistakes and how to fix them. Common mistake number 1. You're not summoning a thrall. Thralls are so important. And this clip will show just that. Note that I just did not get an XP drop. Yet the head still turned, because the thrall. The thrall was the MVP right there. In this clip, I'm running the mage hand on the good side of Orm. I just came from 2, got myself dragged in. However, now I only have 1 tick after my next attack to get out of Orm's sight. However, I treat it as if I have 2 ticks left, so I end up taking a hit. In this clip you can see me go back to the outer tile so I can get back dragged in. Notice that technically I should have gone to tile 3 if I didn't make a mistake. Okay, so generally speaking, if you make a mistake like this, all you have to do is go 1 step back in the cycle. So notice that in this clip I should have gone to tile 3. However, I made a mistake, took a hit. That means I go 1 step back in the cycle. That lands on drag, so I get myself dragged in again. Another example, let's say I'm on the long range part of the cycle. Let's say my shadow is on accurate instead of long range. That means I will get hit. And the next course of action would be to go to tile 1. Always make sure to check your attack style on the shadow, because the rest of the raid you usually use long range, so it makes sense that it's not on accurate. How to fix this? Simply just don't use long range, but in all honesty, you can always go to the mage hand side to reset like I've shown before. Just because you get an XP drop does not mean the head will always turn. This is because the shadow has a weird delay on the attack. In this clip, you will see I actually did hit the hand, but almost still turned middle. The chance of this happening isn't very big because the thrall is also there to help you out, but it will happen sometimes. I wouldn't worry about this too much, just tank the hit and you can continue the cycle where you left off. So in this clip I was supposed to go to 2, I'll just tank the hit and go to 2 anyway. You could also just do this whenever you splash, obviously. If you have gotten this point to the guide and you understand everything so far, congrats, you are an absolute gamer. I'm now gonna go over some advanced strategies, some things you might not use often, but are good to know, are good to be able to do when you need to. There's probably a lot I could show in here. I'm probably not gonna show every little niche thing, but I'm just gonna go over a few that I find very interesting. I will start off this section with one of my favorites, which I actually do use a lot. It involves getting your second Dragon Warhammer spec in after you've already done some maging. I assume that if you have a shadow, you should also have a light bearer, and you should definitely bring it into Ulm if you are not already. It is very overpowered, it means you can get 2 Warhammer specs in per melee hand. Essentially, you're doing the exact same thing as I showed on the entrance method. However, you're not doing it on entrance, you're doing it mid-cycle, whenever you're gonna get dragged in from the outer tile. Note that you can do this from any tile on this line. Be careful not to click away from the melee hand too fast, as this will result in you running back into Ulm's side instead of staying out of Ulm's sight. Another good use for this is transitioning to the melee hand on P3. Now this works on the good side, but doesn't work on the bad side. The answer is yes and it works, but you have to purposely delay your attack so it lines up with the Ulm turning. The good thing about this is that you will actually reset the cycle, meaning you don't have to tank a hit at all. You can just go back to 1 and continue the cycle. Now you can do it when you're supposed to be doing a long range by waiting 1 extra tick. However, you can also do it after your long range attack, meaning when you're about to tank a hit, that's when you will delay your attack. You do have to delay your attack a little bit longer though, but I think since you will reset the cycle with it, that it could be worth if you're low on supplies. In this clip, I'm running the mage hand on the good side of Ulm. As you can see, this next hit is a splash hit. Here I'm kind of relying on my thrall to hit, but it doesn't hit. It results in me getting hit by Ulm. I already knew I missed the hand because I didn't get an XP drop when I clicked the hand. The fix to this mistake is pretty simple. You simply look for your XP drop. If it's not there, you want to make sure you run towards the mage hand already. This way you can make your way towards the mage hand side safely without taking any damage, and if the thrall does happen to hit and the head will turn because of that, you'll also be able to make it back to the right side in time. This will be in addition to the entrance method. Here, I go in for the spec, I can switch back to my mage gear, but I splash. This means Ulm will turn middle instead of mage hand. Now, normally you could go mage hand side, but if you click in time, you will actually be able to make it to the outer tile. You might be familiar with the 4-0 method on the Trident or Sang. I wanted to recreate something similar, and I guess it somewhat worked. I don't do it a lot because it involves missing a lot of ticks at times. I think it's cool to know how to do this though, if you're extremely low on supplies. It's pretty nice. Basically means you don't have to take any damage as long as you move correctly. The throttle is going to help you out a ton here. This method involves a lot of switching, so I highly recommend you kind of limit your switches doing this, and you don't do it too much because your wrist is not going to like it. You basically keep alternating between melee and mage. I'm not going to really explain what's going on. I mean, if you can do this, you probably understand what's happening anyway. It's just a lot of switching and a lot of clicking. If there's something else you often struggle with that I did not cover, feel free to comment it below. Depending on how much I could have missed, I might make another video on those suggestions. Hopefully I made this method understandable for you. If I did, make sure to like and maybe even subscribe. I will see you all on the next one.
Love